Hey guys, we are back. And I want to say, first of all, thank you very much, all of you, for tuning in for the 38 Rumor special that we did the other day, live streamed. And it was a lot of fun. I was trying to play Resident Evil 4 on the Wii while trying to read that list of rumors. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. And anyway, for this video, we're going to talk about something that was discussed on the IGN PlayStation Beyond podcast they did a couple days ago. This was very interesting because in that podcast there was quite a few assumptions made about the Nintendo Switch that were really making me scratch my head, and you'll see why when you listen to it. But basically, this podcast is PlayStation focused, even though there are Nintendo fans on that podcast, like Brian Altano. He's on Nintendo Voice Chat. He's definitely a Nintendo fan. But even he made some comments that are really questionable, to say the least, and we'll discuss that afterwards. So take a listen.
It says Team Beyond views on Nintendo Switch.
I think that the story that we had on IGN in the last few days about how Mass Effect Andromeda is not coming to Switch, I think this is...
I don't care about it anymore.
Well, I will say that we are now firmly in the same place where you can look at like the image for the Sonic the Hedgehog cycle and you can put Nintendo consoles in there. Because I think we all have done that thing now where we've been like, this is the one, this is going to be the system that revolutionizes everything. This is going to be the one that gets all the third-party support in the world. And then the specs come in, and then like the battery life come in, and like all the other stuff starts coming in. And you start realizing that to have a system like this that can't maximize the hardware capabilities that that it's siblings can in the console wars, it means that you have a lot of companies and developers sacrificing their vision to port a game to this platform and thus won't. Plus, you couple that with the fact that Nintendo fans historically do not buy third-party games and never will, no matter how much they say or pretend they will. And this will largely be another system that plays a couple of awesome Mario games, a couple awesome Zelda games, a couple awesome, Animal Crossing, or what have you. Nintendo first-party games. And you'll get some cool, quirky, weird third-party stuff. And they'll be able to drag and drop a bunch of stuff from last gen and make it portable for the first time ever, which would be really cool to play sort of like, Watch Dogs or Skyrim or something like that anywhere you go. But mostly it's another Nintendo console, like it or not, and I think in 3 or 4 years they'll be scratching their heads trying to figure out what's next.
I'm a little worried about this one. I think Nintendo needs a big win after the Wii U.
They do.
In the console in the console market. Yes, they've broken to mobile, but that didn't do well with their investors. And I'm really, really hoping that the Switch does well, but there's so many ways it could fail. The battery life could be too little. The peripherals could be, janky and not work that well. And that's what worries me about this platform. And then we're seeing, like, when it runs on the screen, it runs at a lower FPS than it does when it's docked. I mean, like, all that stuff is super concerning this early. And I know there's a big event coming up on the 12th, and we're going to know more.
Yeah, we're going to know more in about a week and a half.
But I'm worried. I want it to be an awesome console, and I want that third-party support and everything, but I just don't know, man.
I'm looking at this thing like it's going to be the best handheld Nintendo's ever made, and I'm not looking at this thing like it's just another lackluster console. Because I think as a console, it's not going to be great when put next to the PS4 or the Xbox One. It's got no VR capabilities. It's 1080p. I mean, people have even said, like, it can do VR. No, you don't want a 720p screen on your face for VR. Trust me, you just don't. It just doesn't work. But Nintendo always does this thing, and I've noticed this as a lifelong Nintendo fan, is like they have an announcement or there's a rumor or there's something like that, and then all of a sudden you start to see all the holes in it. It sounds like the greatest thing in the world. They're like, hey, Super Mario Run, it's going to be this, this, and this. Oh, it's $9.99. Oh, it's always online. Oh, it's only 24 levels. Hey, there's a new blah, blah, blah. Oh, there's this hole. Like the NES Classic. You're like, oh, this thing looks awesome. Oh, you can't pre-order it. Oh, you have to get up to reset it.
Oh, the cord is
the cords are 3 feet long. So it's basically just like, it's like one step forward, 10 steps back every single time.
Yeah.
So cautious optimism on this one. How do you feel about it, Max?
I want it to be great. I want it to be awesome. I really wish that this could be the thing where, Nintendo goes, oh, okay. We'll just sort of toe the line now, and we'll get people back on board with just get some third party stuff on there. Like, I mean, it's weird to think that games I love on like Sony platforms started out on Nintendo. Like I love the PlayStation because it's kind of the super Nintendo, which the N64 wasn't. And it's just, I want them to do something that like completely makes me go, oh yeah, gimme, I want that now. But I
bring back Mega Man.
Yeah,
I mean they're gonna have to do a lot to make me even like remotely consider pre-ordering.
Okay, so after listening to that, you can see what I was talking about, right? So a lot of assumptions were made. Now, I am assuming myself that they do not have all the information, because if they are speaking on fact, then the things they brought up about the Switch is concerning. Like we talked about before, like if those specs, cause a problem with developers not bringing games to the Switch, the specs that were leaked by Eurogamer or rumored by Eurogamer, if that becomes true and third parties don't bring games to the Switch, that is a cause for concern. But these guys on the podcast are talking like this is a done deal, like it's already going to happen. The Switch is not going to get third-party support. We don't know that for a fact yet. So the way they're talking makes it sound like this is a foregone conclusion. So I definitely have an issue with that. Unless they say that they already know that the Switch will not get any third-party support and that all these things will be an issue, then we could have real cause for concern, right? And the whole thing about battery life, they talked about that. We don't know for sure how long the battery life will be. It's only been rumored so far as 3 hours. Some rumors have even said the battery life has been improved to 5 to 8 hours. So we really don't know yet until, of course, Nintendo shows this thing, right? And then they talked about the controllers basically being janky and or being concerning that they're janky, or the controller accessories. That's another thing we have no idea about, really. That's an assumption. And not only that, but the Switch has a Pro controller setup, available. So I don't think the actual controller itself is going to be a problem. And you know how Nintendo is with their controllers. Janky is usually not the term you would use to describe a Nintendo controller. Nintendo controllers usually always control extremely precisely and usually never have any issues with them, right? I can't think of any Nintendo controller I had a problem with. I think the GameCube controller, even though it's one of my favorite controllers, I did have a slight issue with the D-pad being too small for my thumbs. But other than that, that controller was flawless. But the main issue I had with this discussion came at the end there when they started talking about how Nintendo always does this. And does what, though? Nintendo doesn't always do this, quote unquote. And they're talking about what, confirmed information? Or are they talking about rumored information that they think's true? I don't know what they're trying to say here, because nothing with the Switch has been confirmed yet by Nintendo themselves. So for them to make these type of leaps of assumptions that is all on the negative side is bending reality quite a bit there, I think, unless they do know already that that is a fact. And if they do know that this is a fact, then they should say so. Otherwise, they shouldn't be making these assumptions, right? But basically, they said at the end there that Nintendo always does this. They talk about a console, it looks amazing, it seems amazing, and then when you actually find out information about it, oh, it's not that great, oh, it's all these things wrong with it, oh, you can't do this, oh, you can't do that, oh, it's just not as good as what we were hoping. And then Brian O'Connell said that oh, they're always, you're always hoping for this Nintendo console that's going to do everything you want it to do, and it never comes, never ever, there's always something wrong with it. Now, tell me which console that is besides the Wii U. Because for me personally, every Nintendo console, including the Wii, actually fulfilled its purpose as what Nintendo was outlining. If you're only arguing graphics with the Wii, everything else about the Wii was pretty much tip-top. The Wii had outstanding third-party support. It sold over 100 million consoles. It was the highest-selling system Nintendo ever did for a home console. And it had tons and tons of games, tons and tons of accessories, all kinds of support. Fans loved it. And it definitely wasn't the type of system that they're describing here. The Wii U, now granted, the Wii U was, I will give them that. The Wii U definitely was that kind of system where it was lacking third-party support, it lacked features, and it didn't fulfill the promises that Nintendo laid out. That was really the only system that did that, at least in my opinion. Even the GameCube totally exceeded my expectations personally. Besides not having DVD support to have more storage space for games, everything else about the GameCube was outstanding in my opinion. It had one of the best games ever made with Resident Evil 4, Metroid Prime, the original, and The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess, and The Wind Waker were all on the Nintendo GameCube. And of course, Rogue Squadron 2 was a launch game. The GameCube was a fantastic system. Granted, it didn't sell as much, possibly due to some of the features it was lacking, but it wasn't something Nintendo was promising from the outset, you see? So that is not something that can apply here to what they're talking about. The Nintendo 64 was a very successful system. It sold close to 40 million consoles worldwide. It wasn't as successful as the PlayStation 1 was, mainly due to the lack of CD-ROM capability, but the system was very successful and the most powerful one of its generation. And of course, you all know about the Super Nintendo. It did everything right, basically. It had third-party support, had the highest specs, it had all that stuff of its generation. It was the best. So for them being so disappointed in Nintendo, oh, Nintendo always does this, I definitely do not agree with that statement, because it's really, in my opinion, only applies to the Wii U. So most recently, you could say yes, that applies. They have been making misstep after misstep, but in the Wii U generation. Before that, Nintendo was doing it really well, in my opinion. And then they ended it with more begging for third-party support, saying that the PlayStation is basically a Super Nintendo. And I can kind of see why they're saying that, because of the Super Nintendo, it had all that third-party support and it had all the first-party support. So it does mimic, in a way, the way PlayStation 4 is. PlayStation 4 with Sony does have a lot of exclusives now. They have a lot of studios they've been developing over the years, and they do have a lot more exclusives on their system than the Wii U has at this point, because they have a lot more games and they have a lot more studios developing games on PlayStation 4. And on top of that, they have all the third-party support backing them. So I can see why he's saying that, because obviously he's not a Nintendo fan, he's a Sony fan. But again, they are assuming that the Switch will have no third-party support, even though, like, we've been seeing good things from third parties saying that there's going to be games coming for the Switch from them. So it was a really weird discussion when you look at it from that way. I think they made a lot of assumptions before Nintendo has even revealed the system to the public. And granted, like I said, if everything they said is the truth, then yeah, the Switch is going to be basically another Wii U. It has a great Mario game, a great Zelda game, and a couple of other good games, and that Nintendo fans will buy it, and that's it. So this, of course, is not what we want for the system to be successful, because to be successful, you need to sell to a wider range of people, which is why the Wii sold so well, and of course the systems before that sold a lot better than the Wii U did. So they do have a point that the Switch needs third-party support, but they also make an assumption that it's already not there. So we definitely need to wait till January 12th to know for sure where the support is, how the performance is of the system, what the battery life is, you know, what the release date is even, what the price is. All those things take it into consideration before completely writing the system off, kind of like what they did there. And definitely, guys at IGN, I suggest you do some fact checking first before making those type of assumptions, saying about that Nintendo always does that, because I don't see that. I don't see Nintendo always doing that as far as over promising something and under delivering. I haven't seen them do that. The only thing they did that with was the Wii U, which we're hoping they're going to be correcting that mistake with the Nintendo Switch. So fingers crossed for January 12th. But I wouldn't fanboy hate on the system before actually knowing about the system more before it releases. Because that's what it seemed like they were doing there on that PlayStation podcast. A little bit of fanboyism there going on, making those big assumptions without knowing the facts. And like I said, if they did know the facts, they should have told us. But since they didn't, we're assuming they didn't know anything. Alright guys, that's all I got to say about that. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and leave me a comment, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Take care.